What's up, y'all? Happy Friday. Matthew Dibler here. I hope that you're enjoying the end of your week and looking forward to a beautiful weekend ahead. I had a message for you today, and this one is for men. Men, I'm talking to you, and I want you to listen to me loud and clear. You have got to create an opportunity for vulnerability in your household, and it starts with you. As the leader of the family, you need to lead by example. You've got to create space for conversation with your spouse and with your children where there is security in knowing that they can come to you and speak to you openly about what burdens them in their mind, in their heart, in the circumstances that we face day after day. If you don't do this, you're setting your family up to be at risk, really, in the spiritual realm in particular. Because when we carry these burdens with us, children, wives, they're carrying this burden of having to conceal and hold on to a lot of negativity, a lot of emotion that they don't have an outlet for. You've got to be that outlet, men, because otherwise you're inviting evil influence into your home, and you don't want that. It's not something that is easy to walk back once it's been established over a period of time. You want your children in particular to be able to grow up and leave the household knowing that it's okay to speak about what's going on in their lives. If they're going through a hard time, if they're facing anxiety, if they're facing depression, if they're facing addiction, you don't want them to just have to toughen up, suck it up, try and win this battle in the flesh when it's not really a fleshly battle at all. It's something that has to occur in the heart, in the mind, and in the spirit world. That's where you win those battles. But if you're not comfortable in speaking about him, if you're thinking that you have to hide what's the real reality, what the real root cause is, then you're likely just to use the means that you've been taught are at your disposal to challenge adversity. And in a lot of very masculine driven households, that's, with your hands, you just grind it out, you overcome, and that's not enough. I'm telling you, when you're fighting a battle in the spiritual realm or in mental health, and I think the two are often very well intertwined, you can't do it all in your own strength. And the way that you find your way to healing is by being transparent about what's going on, sharing openly, seeking wisdom. The thing that I recognize, in my faith journey, is that a lot of people who are reluctant to go to the Father in prayer and seek His wisdom and guidance and healing and miracles, a lot of them are people that haven't ever had that father figure in their own lives who was strong enough to say, "Come to me. Tell me what's on your mind. Share with me what's in your heart." So if they haven't experienced that vulnerability with their own father figure, then it's hard for them to perceive how they actually get to that point of intimacy with the Father in heaven, with the Creator of all things. And without having that intimacy, it's hard for them to get in relationship where they can, be guided in the truth and find their way to healing. And that's a really sad thing, because what happens is, if they're not familiar with what it's like to have that type of conversation, to be able to express vulnerability, if they've been taught their entire lives that that's wrong, well, then it's really hard to do it even in the spiritual realm. And we tell people that, like, hey, God loves you more than you can imagine. You can bring anything to him and he will not judge you. Come to him, fall at his feet, and he will heal you. And I think there's a lot of people that want to believe that. They want to feel that love. They want to be able to approach God in that way. But if they've never been able to have that conversation in their natural lifetime, where they've had relationships, family relationships, whatever, where that's been looked down upon, then it's like they don't really know how. They don't really know where to begin. Now, I do believe that God can speak to these individuals and that he can help to teach them, the way to open up. But it's a difficult process, and a lot of people, never find their way to that point where they allow God to have that influence because they've got such a wall up from what they've been conditioned to do throughout their entire lives. So men, you've got to lead by example in your homes. It's critical. Your wife needs your support, and your children need your support. And often the way that you conduct your interactions with your wife, that's sort of the education for your kids. If they see that mom can come to dad and have that conversation, then they're going to feel a little bit more comfortable in doing it too. So be there. Be the loving father. Be the loving husband. But show your kids the way through the relationship that you have with your wife. And then speak to your kids openly. Tell them what weighs on your heart too. It's okay to be vulnerable. Allow them to understand, what emotions are, so that they can learn how to express them in their own time. This is critical, because if we don't do it, I can tell you that we leave ourselves and our families very, very vulnerable to the influence of evil. Because those suppressed emotions, they often lead to bad decisions. And it's not all the fault of the individual that's been taught to live that way. Sometimes, in order to cope, decisions are made that are not in the best interest. A lot of times this is what leads to, addictions or poor relationships and all kinds of other things that, people are just looking to get away from the pain that has been left unresolved. And that pain that's unresolved a lot of times is just an inability to have a conversation. The greatest love that you can give to your children is to truly embrace them in this vulnerable state. To love your wife in the same way. To give them an opportunity to flourish in an environment that is authentic and real. To teach them the way of the Father, so that when adversity comes knocking in their own lives, they know how to have that conversation with him. I love you all. God bless.